Okay, but, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Beth, on a note on grants and notes receivable, that was a substantial increase, so are we getting additional grants now?
Oh, you're on the balance sheet.
Yeah.
You're on for fiscal year 10.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at, I believe what it is,
It looks positive.
it's probably that we have met the requirements of the grant, so we can move them into, under accounting rules, and say that they're available now. So yes, there are grants that we are now able to use.
And used for operating?
They're probably capital grants. I'd have to look at it, but
No.
yeah.
Okay.
We use all the 5307, all the monies that we get from the federal government for operating are fully programmed into both the fiscal year 10 and fiscal year 11 budget.
Okay, one more, Mr. Chairman, just, and just quickly on that, on the Standard & Poor's and Moody's ratings,
Yes.
just to keep watching the Senate hearings with all what's going on, several comments and evidence presented that Standard & Poor's and Moody's were not playing with a fair ball on giving ratings out here. So are there other rating agencies out there, or people that we can utilize? I get a little concerned.
Yeah.
These banksters have ruined us, and now these rating people are falling in bed with them, so.
You asked, it's a very good question, and there's not a very good answer. There are three primary rating agencies that rate the investments that we look at. Fitch would be the third one. And they've all been subject to the same criticism that you're mentioning. Our investments are very high quality. They're mostly federal government and federal agencies. And we do monitor, well, we assume the federal government is AAA. The federal agencies, as you probably know, have had issues in the last year, and they have a direct line of credit and the billions of dollars from the Treasury. So that's how they maintain their ratings. And we do actually monitor what's going on with the Treasury's relationship with the agencies. Were we investing in more risky investments? There is not, part of the reason we're keeping our investment portfolio very secure and very conservative is that there is no other way to realistically monitor other than reading reports in the rating agencies. And it's a question that is one that many investment professionals are asking, as you know, on the pension, from the pension fund.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, Beth.
Yes. Beth, I appreciate the balanced budget approach, but I think as hopefully you'll agree, it's one thing preparing a balanced budget. It's a whole different issue delivering on that. So with that said, and I do understand that budgeting is more of an art than science, but how would you maybe categorize the revenue assumptions in terms of most likely, worst case, or best case?
That's a question, a discussion we've had a lot internally. I think where we came down was most likely. It was, as you heard from the Citizens Budget Committee, there was some disagreement. Even that wasn't their job to give recommendations, but there were businessmen on that committee who felt that maybe we were too optimistic. But other members of the committee who felt more optimistic about the economy. Our forecasts are consistent with what private economists are saying about the local economy and what the state economist is saying. Given that, there's still a lot of uncertainty, and the reports that, and as I'm going to give a brief update on where we are for fiscal year 10, we do monitor this very carefully. The reports that you get every month show the variances by department, by line item, and if we are too optimistic, we as management know that we will need to make mid-year corrections. The downside of being too pessimistic in the budget process is that we're forcing deeper cuts earlier. If we're too optimistic, we're forcing deeper cuts later. And so I think philosophically we've decided to go the best, use our best estimate, but continually monitor.
Well, So if the worst case, for example, ends up being the reality,
Yes.
we talked about, you talked about some potential corrective actions. Have those strategies been identified so we already know what they will be and what the trigger points are? Or
And
what's that process?
The process is more cuts. I mean, the action is more cuts. There is, not, it's more of what we've just done. And service planning and the leadership team have talked about that, and not about so much the specifics, but the timing, the whole process of making cuts. We need to walk that back to when we would need to do it, and that has been reviewed internally.
Good. Thank you.
Along those lines, just a brief update on where we are in the economic situation, and so you can monitor where we are in fiscal year 10. The economic situation is actually unemployment rates went up in all three counties this month. The good news is that total employment also went up a little bit, and that's not unexpected. As the economy begins to pick up, more people come back to the labor force, so you might see the unemployment rate go up. But on a trend line, compared to March last year, the three counties have 28,000 fewer jobs, which is not good. But at the worst part of the recession, that number was 65,000. So we are seeing a continued march back to health. And the questions you'd ask about the current operating in the March operating report, which is how we do monitor against the current year. Not much change from the trends we've been discussing every month. We're 3/4 of the way into the fiscal year. Operating revenue is about 6% under budget. Operating expenditures are about 3% under budget. And so the negative variance that we have is within the contingency that we included in the budget. So we're watching that very carefully for the last quarter. And investments, as Lynn pointed out, are safe and yielding virtually zero. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.